Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the follow-up to my Catastrophe Crow recap. After the story seemingly ended in December 2020, there was, as mentioned, little in the way of actual news or story development for quite a while. Adam Butcher had moved on to other projects, and it looked as if the story of the Lorenz family had come to a close. Here's a quick recap of what we know. Catastrophe Crow is a cancelled N64 game directed by Manfred Lorenz, a man who took inspiration from his own daughter's artwork when crafting the game, and indeed the whole project was a special gift just for her. However, tragedy struck and Manfred's daughter, Thea Lorenz, was injured and died. This deeply affected Manfred, who holed himself up in his office and never left, constantly working on the game even after his company went bankrupt. Eventually, the office was found devoid of any computer equipment, and Manfred's boat was found in the middle of a lake with nothing but a death certificate on it, suggesting his death. A beta cartridge of the game was sold on eBay to Adam Butcher, and after his video about it started making the rounds, viewers began following a trail of clues left behind by an apparently very much alive Manfred. He expressed a desire to see his son Nils, but there was little confirmation if the meeting ever took place or if Nils knew anything at all. No news for over 2 years, with only a confusing ending that left viewers scratching their heads. Until they finally got what they were waiting for. All I can say is, get ready!
You've been waiting. We've all been waiting. But where have they gone? Not here. Are they here? No, you'll find them here at www.makeshift.com/products/catastrophe-crow.
On August 16th, 2023, Adam Butcher tweeted out a letter he received, thanking him for giving exposure to Catastrophe Crow and requesting assistance with promoting a campaign to produce a Catastrophe Crow plush toy. The company that sent the letter is Opus Legacy, presumably a revival of Manfred Lorenz's old company. But who was behind it? Was Manfred back? Ulrich Adderman, a former employee of Opus, was questioned about it on Twitter. He confirmed that it wasn't his doing and he has no idea who it was, and he's retired now and enjoying life, so he's not really all that interested. Well, whoever it was, the campaign went forward and you could, in fact, order a Crow plushie yourself if you wanted to. Videos promoting the campaign were not only on Opus Legacy's YouTube channel, but Adam Butcher's channel as well. If you pay close attention, however, you'll notice that there are very subtle additions to the Opus Legacy videos that aren't there on Adam's channel. Hidden within the first video was a date, October 5th, which was later revealed to be the start date for the campaign. The second video has the first instance of what the community calls the Jigsaw, a fragment of a glitchy image. We definitely need to be on the lookout for the other fragments. This video also has a hidden message in Crow language, can't exist. Also, the windows on the work building have a weird pattern of lights on. We'll set that aside in case it gets interesting. Meanwhile, the actual funding page had a message with some of the letters looking a little off. Combine them all and you get the word resurrection. The next video shows several clips of someone holding a controller and pushing buttons with a coin counter in the bottom right. Remember how one of the messages in the original story was given using the controller buttons and analog stick movements? That's happening here too, but you must also use the coin counter, which indicates how many letters forward to move in the alphabet. So if the button pressed is A and the counter shows 1, then the actual letter is B. This is one insane code, I know, but if you put it all together you get the phrase, "Are you watching?" The next video after that has butterflies flying in an odd pattern that actually forms a sequence of letters that spell, "We are in hell." Finally, this video had the final piece of the Jigsaw. Put together, it strongly resembles the boot up message from the first video in the whole story, although now the first line reads, "Father." Only one person in this story would ever call someone that. It's gotta be Nils. Nils is behind all of this. But what's he doing? The final video has a hidden base 64 code. In order to solve this one, we take the numbers we found on the work building earlier and put them in place of each of the unks in this message. This will complete the message, allowing it to be decoded. Decrypting it produces an image with a few rows of colored pixels. This is, again, a hidden message, but how do you decrypt it? Where have we seen colors? Oh, in one of the videos there is a URL with each letter in the URL assigned a consistent color. That's the key. Decrypting it yields yet another URL, this time for an itch.io page for an actual playable Catastrophe Crow game. It's password protected, but the phrase resurrection unlocks it. However, the page only says coming soon. When does this come out? Well, there's a weird pattern of dots on the image I just talked about. The dots indicate a sequence of numbers based on the row they appear on, the bottom row being 0, the second to the bottom being 1, and so forth. Combining them all spells out a date. April 26, 2024, which was indeed the day it released. So, here we are, an actual playable Catastrophe Crow game. I mean, you could compile and run that Unity build from all the way back in 2020, but of course this build has new stuff built into it, as well as an actual goal and ending. Now, this is one of those games where it can be difficult to know what you're actually meant to do as you explore, but the exploration can be fun as well, so I should say at this juncture that if you want to experience this for yourself, you're more than able to go to the itch page for the game and try it. However, I should also say that this game is actually very cryptic. It's clearly meant to be a community effort, and well, the community did solve the game in just 2 days. There have been games based around community efforts and cryptic puzzles, but in the age of the internet, it won't take long to solve stuff due to the speed at which information travels, so I feel it would have been best to keep the puzzles solvable without any external information, even when considering that fans of the original story and those paying attention to the videos will have a clear advantage here. Basically, in my opinion, Shipwrecked 64 did it better. You only needed the game itself to solve the game, and the plot unfolded as you got deeper and deeper. Here, well, you'll see. As the game boots up, you'll get a glimpse of the Jigsaw that was revealed in the Opus Legacy videos. As I mentioned, if you remember locations or secrets from the original story, you can find them again here. For instance, the computer room under the flower bed is still there, and this computer is effectively the goal of the game. If you pause, you'll notice the Jigsaw appears on the monitor. The idea is to search the game, find all the messages that fit into the Jigsaw, and then input it on the keyboard here. A couple pieces of the puzzle can be found in the Opus Legacy videos, and I'll guide you to every location in the game containing a puzzle piece, but the keyboard is actually important for another reason, and this is one of the parts of the game that made me sigh and groan in an annoyed manner. This game features a mechanic known as the Eternal Revival System, a name that came up in the original story, and what it was exactly was left ambiguous. There was a lot of speculation as to whether it was supernatural in some manner, since ankhs and even pentagrams could be found at different points in the story. Some say Manfred was looking to create a kind of digital heaven of sorts, where you resurrect from death eternally, a way to either revive his daughter or preserve himself and his family. To be honest, ideas like this do seem like they come from experience with other stories, which the audience certainly had. I know I did. There was also evidence pointing to the Eternal Revival System as something that changes the game every time you restart. Insert every copy is personalized joke here. I don't know if this is 100% the case, but the keyboard here is said to literally be the Eternal Revival System, because this game features a number of randomized alterations to levels or graphics that can be toggled on or off manually by hitting different keys on the keyboard. So why am I explaining all of this? Because, as you'll see, a handful of randomized properties are absolutely required to gather some of the puzzle pieces, and you'd have no idea the solution to the problem you are having is to push a completely arbitrary key on the keyboard with no feedback to confirm what's happening, or get lucky with a randomizer and just so happen to check one of the rooms while the effect you need is active, with no way of knowing you got lucky. Hell, some effects are outright detrimental, like the work building simply not being there some of the time, or the coins and level entrances disappearing just to confuse everybody. To reset all effects and start with a clean slate, hit the R key on the keyboard. The keys tied to effects you need are on the T, Y, D, F, G, H, J, K, and N keys. Again, solving the game is meant to be a community effort, but when it's as cryptic as this, players could easily be led on a wild goose chase. Wild crow chase, something. Some kind of bird, I guess. The best way to show this is to actually get cracking on the clues, so I will show you all the puzzle pieces in order of difficulty to find, according to my opinion. To start, randomly the computer in this room becomes a portal to a test level, or you can hit the D key on the keyboard. There's a switch in the test level that will drain the water, allowing access to a room with a pattern of colors on the wall. This is the same pattern from the Crow plush promotion video where the URL had each letter in a different color. Use the colors to spell out a puzzle piece. Let's continue where Adam began in his original playthrough. The entrance to the toy level is on the first floor of the work building like always. You can see that there are now coins to collect and actual enemies. The secret entrance under the stage is still there, and you can find it by hanging from the ledge and climbing around the fence. The entrance leads to a giant version of Thea's room from the house. You can explore it, but the only thing to find is a freaking looking monster that starts chasing you when you get close. When it starts moving, objects appear throughout the area. They make sounds when you collect them. Yeah, you have to refer back to that sound cipher from the original story. Match up the sounds to each letter and they spell out a puzzle piece. I said this was easy to find, I didn't say decoding it would be fast. This room also still has the pause menu changed to Crow language, so you can use that to translate the message, which I'm going to do at the end anyways, so moving on. There's another cleverly hidden puzzle piece in the same level. A block formation resembles the secret entrance underneath the stage, but one of the blocks has no letter or number on it at all. If your Zelda instinct to bomb suspicious walls has kicked in, you might have pressed the B button to reveal a hidden room. This room contains 64 teddy bears at computers, said to represent the people emailing Manfred, since if you pause here, the monitors show the thumbnail for Adam Butcher's original video. Notice that the blocks they're sitting on have more letters than just Crow 64, like the rest of the blocks in the level. The teddy bears are all making noises in a particular pattern. Put the letters on the blocks in the order which the bears make a sound to spell out another puzzle piece. This is going to take a while to decipher, but remember, nobody said you couldn't use video recording software to record the bears, then play them back slowly. Oh, and the noise in the background is actually scrambled reversed audio of Adam Butcher saying, "So this package arrived today." This is actually interesting. It means that in-universe, whoever made the game knows about Adam's video. Also, I just mocked Adam's accent. I'm so sorry, man. Now let's head outside to the work building's exterior. The vent on the side of the building can still be removed and entered. The idea here is the same as it was before. Jump to reveal the safe path through the area. The teddy bear now does something odd. It shows us several tables on the building's first floor, marked with a triangle shape. The next room from here has a shovel surrounded by a vortex of fish that kill you in one hit. It's completely impossible to get the shovel without dying like this. So how do we solve this? It's so easy you'd never guess. Completely at random, the fish just won't be there. Oh, you think that's BS? You ain't seen anything yet. Taking the shovel, we can check out the tables the bear showed us. Standing on each table causes it to sink into the floor, slowly, and once all four are sunk, we end up underwater. You'll need to use actual platforming skills to make it up to the top where Manfred's death certificate is, along with another puzzle piece. And don't you dare fall off or you are starting the whole thing over. Returning to the work building by pressing start and exiting the level, we can head to the second floor to find another computer leading to the forest level. It's wide open with some enemies and odd objects. It also has many clues to other locations and probably interacts the most with the randomized events. First, let's check out Thea's grave, which you can dig up with the shovel from the fish vortex room. Inside is a long, winding tunnel leading to a crow at a computer who says nothing and adds a giant creepy thing to the room that boots you out. I don't know how anyone found this out at all, but there was a puzzle piece in this room. Where was it, though? Nothing spells out a message, does it? Well, yes. The layout of the tunnels themselves form the puzzle piece. I officially can't tell if Adam is genius or crazy. Actually, it's crazy. Listen to this. There's a grandfather clock next to a painting in the forest. The clock clicks 9 times, pauses, then clicks 13 times. 9 and 13. What does that mean? Do we use this somewhere? Well, you see, you can actually trigger an event by playing this game while your system clock is set to 9:13. The number specifically refers to Manfred's birthday, which there's no way to know that at this point, and since the number is communicated by a clock, I guess it isn't too much of a stretch to think of the system clock. If you're some kind of crazed bird brain lunatic or something. You want to know how this was found out? Someone just happened to play at 9:13 in their local time and just happened to get the random effect they needed. That's right, playing at that time will change the sky of the overworld to the night sky, and randomly there will be a house behind you when you start playing. If it's not there, go to the keyboard room and hit the H key. It will still be nighttime when you return. So inside the house, the chair in the second room has no collision. You can actually slip into a space under the stairs. You need to search for a hole in the floor, and falling will cause the camera to point towards a picture of Nils with another puzzle piece. Entering Thea's room produces a cutscene in which a weird-looking blob appears with a message consisting of 6 blank spaces. The blob then rapidly multiplies over and over until the game crashes. What has 6 letters and multiplies rapidly, overwhelming a system? Yeah, this may confirm that Thea had cancer, which makes this one of the only new plot revelations we've had thus far. Also, the blobs are strangely cat-shaped. I forgot to mention Catastrophe Crow was supposed to have a cat villain, but we have never seen anything related to that character until now. And even then, this might not even be the cat character in the first place. Enough about that, though. Let's get back to exploring. Now then, recall that the computer's keyboard can toggle events as needed, if you know what they do, that is. It's better than the insane amount of luck needed to find this next puzzle piece. Randomly, the game will display your coordinates whenever you pause. In the Force specifically, one of the sets of coordinates that can appear is fixed and won't change. Use the coordinates as a guide to reach a certain spot on the map. Oh yeah, you also need another randomized event that removes all the trees. That allows you to go where the coordinates tell you, and then you press the B button to get another puzzle piece. This needed 3 random events, but it's probably not the most insane thing here. If you remember the original story, you might have noticed Manfred made a big deal about jumping between the 2 cliffs in the overworld. If you jump off one cliff and fail to make it to the other side several times, eventually a scarecrow appears. Follow it and the invisible walls will be disabled, allowing you to find the tunnel beneath a level. It now leads to a cheap knockoff of the Haunted Wasteland from Zelda. No, really. You need to find the Scarecrow again and follow him several times, otherwise you get lost and return to the start of the area. Continue following him until you reach an incomplete house model. There's a misaligned ground texture with a pattern of bushes going through it. If you play Connect the Dots with the bushes, you will find that they form another puzzle piece. How anyone figured that out with such horrible visibility is beyond me. Also, the fact that you can clip behind the staircase here as well may be a hint to the fact that you could clip behind the staircase in the house in the night overworld, but it still seems really cryptic in my opinion. This next one is actually rather tame and doesn't involve anything random. In the overworld, there's a small patch of dirt where standing on it plays the title theme. If you then return to the title screen and press start again, you'll see a weird crow standing where the spot was, and he runs into the building as you approach. So where does he go? Not the toy world, not the work building, but rather the forest level, where a similar fence and patch of dirt can be found, and again, stand on it to play the title theme and then return to the title screen. This time you boot into a corrupted version of the overworld. Make your way to the work building again, but be very careful. There are now pitfalls everywhere. Fall and you're doing the entire process again. Inside the building, you'll find that it is instead a hospital. Somewhere around here you can find the deceased Thea and what's implied to actually be a crow version of Margaret, her mother. Stand next to Thea, which makes Margaret look at you, and then head to the exit, where a crow will be there, but he vanishes, leaving a shadow. Interact with the shadow using the B button for another puzzle piece. The forest area also contains a well, which is randomly not present, so naturally we have to jump down it. The goal here is to flip a switch to drain the red liquid, flip another switch to open a path, then avoid the enemies and make your way to a massive beating heart that pumps blood throughout the area. Welcome, Moon and Star. Come and look upon the hearts. So, was there a point to all this? While it does let you exit to the work building without pausing, which will be important, there's also an Easter egg. This isn't required for any puzzle pieces, but you do need some luck. Because yet again, randomly the boarded up passages in the well will be gone, allowing you to find a series of gravestones. They're marked with a dot cipher I mentioned in this video, and decrypts to a series of birth and death dates. This confirms October 28th was in fact Nils' birthday. Manfred's grave not only has his birthday on it, but also December 5th, 2001, the day he was presumed to be dead, as well as the same date in 2020, which is when the original story's final video dropped. What is this hinting at? This is way more interesting than anything else so far. If you then slip under the ground and find a pit, you'll fall to a lower area with 4 more graves. One has Nils' birth date, the others have birth dates belonging to Nils' new wife and kids. The gray grave is Nils, the red one is his wife as she's only a couple years younger than him, and the 2 blue graves belong to people much younger than either of them. The only way to know any of their names, however, is to data mine the game. Nils' wife is Sarah, and the kids are Theo and Luca, all of which have 4 letters. You know, that makes like 7 characters with 4 letters in their name. What is up with that? Now then, I bet you're wondering about the coins. There are 128 coins scattered in the forest and toy levels. Collecting all of them and tossing them in a well hidden behind a painting in the work building reveals another puzzle piece. This will drive you insane, however, because taking a hit at any point causes you to lose all the coins and you have to start over, and you have to find a way out of the level without pausing. Falling out of the toy level will do this, as well as going through the well area in the forest. The forest is the crazy part because the fish are insanely hard to avoid. Unless, of course, the fish just so happen to not be there because the random event triggered, or you press the F key on the keyboard. And let me remind you, the well exit has a series of swinging pendulum traps just to kill you right as you're about to make your exit. Luckily, there's a glitch to make this easier. It's possible to rapidly enter and exit a coin's hitbox multiple times before it disappears, and earn multiples off one coin object. If you get good at this, you won't need to collect a good fraction of them. Put the coins in the well, watch the really weird animation, then write down the puzzle piece and send it to all your friends to save them the trouble. Man, I'm getting really harsh with this. Maybe I should tone it down a little. Next, on the 2nd floor of the work building, there's a secret passage leading to a lever, but do not pull it. Instead, look above you. There is a completely invisible passage to a higher point in the room. Triple jump off the lever itself, then wall jump upwards. There is a chessboard here with a white king moving in a very specific pattern. This pattern is important. Now, pull the lever, Crow! This will cause a monster the community calls Big Boy for reasons I cannot fathom to chase you. If caught, you will be sent to the grave in the forest. The Big Boy doesn't go away until you close the game either, but if he's present, a maze on this floor also opens. It has shapes drawn on the floor that ward off the monster, so stop at each shape and wait for him to go away, then continue. At the end of the maze is a boat that takes you to the 1st floor and turns a desk into a boat, and makes the carpet animate as though it were water. But that is not what we're here for. You may have noticed, actually there's no way you could have noticed this, the maze itself is actually an 8x8 grid like a chessboard. Match up the board with the spaces the White King stops on, and you'll notice each space that it stops on has a shape drawn there. Write down the number of vertices, not sides, of each shape in the order indicated by the king to reveal another puzzle piece. By the way, you also have to get through a secret passage here. It's shaped the same as the secret passage you had to pass to get the lever. So easy to figure out. Not crazy at all. You haven't seen crazy yet. Okay, I know I said I was going to be less harsh, and the community did solve this in 2 days, so clearly they were able to figure all of this out, but it just sounds so insane to me. Nobody could figure this out by just playing the game. They really need a lot of external information in order to do this themselves. Let's return to the computer room under the flower bed. There's actually another room connected to this one, which I didn't mention until now because this is nuts. You've got a number keypad with 5 computers. You've probably noticed that pausing causes monitors to display something different. Here, pausing will make the monitors cycle through a sequence of letters, with each monitor displaying letters from a different word. Not only is this another puzzle piece, it's actually a very vague clue as to what to do with the keypad, so I'll translate this one here instead of waiting until the end. It says, "We're only made as playthings." Playthings. What were made as playthings? Oh, you mean like toys? Does that tell you what the passcode is? Well, the passcode is, hey, so future Ephraim here with a last-minute addition to this video, like right before upload as a matter of fact. So I actually noticed while rewatching the Plush Crow campaign video, when they give you the URL, there's actually a shot of the computer room, and as the URL is getting typed out, the camera nudges towards the door to the room with a keypad in the game, so that could be construed as a clue to what to do with the keypad, but it's still really vague in my opinion. And in order to know this clue, you would have to be very observant when watching a video that came out months before the actual playable Catastrophe Crow game. In fact, there's another clue like this related to what we're about to talk about here. There's a shot of the work building with a key on top, and for like a second in one of the videos, it turns into a wind-up key, which is going to be important later. This is still really ridiculous to me because it requires paying very close attention and like connecting the dots on the most obscure details of all time, so I really don't think this is helping the game's case. I mean, I've been harsh on some of the puzzles, and I'm going to be very harsh in a moment, but I just wanted to point that out because it seems like I'm the first to actually notice this, and it very much feels like I'm finding all of the clues to the puzzles after knowing the answers. I'm working backwards from the answer to find the clues, and that is... It's original, I'll give the game that much. Anyways, continuing on. The passcode is the number of plush crows sold through the promotion. 332 of them. Enter 332, and you open a door to a plush factory, which makes a lot more sense. Word of advice, Adam. The passcode is supposed to make sense before you see where it leads, not after. How was anyone supposed to guess this? I get that the passcode to unlock the Unity dump was insane, but at least that was cleverly hidden in the concept art Ulrich provided us. Who would think to check the number of sold toys? Okay, so we are in a plush factory that looks rather gruesome. It seems to be turning corpses into toys. That's very spooky. What you're meant to do here is get through an obstacle course of sorts and make your way to a switch that opens a door, then make your way back, and if you take damage at any point, you start the room over entirely. You know, I distinctly remember the player having a life meter in the original story. Anyway, a second switch leads you to the top of the room where there is a huge plush crow. What do you do with it? Well, you might remember that in the promotional videos, you can see someone using a wind-up key on the toy. Where do you get one of those? Well, there's a key on top of the work building, so you go all the way up there and come back and uh-oh, the key doesn't work. The key is actually a complete red herring, unless the key randomly turns into a wind-up key, which you can trigger manually by pressing the K key on the keyboard. Then you can take it to the plush toy, use it, get the stupid puzzle piece from it, and boom, you're one step closer to being done with this. Ugh! You can also flip one more switch to open a door to the room the toys are sent to, with monitors displaying the plushie adverts, and a switch that dumps them all into the overworld. This does nothing, but it's a thing, I guess. Next, we return to the second floor of the work building. If you've got a keen eye, you might have noticed while pulling the lever that there's something under the staircase. A completely random spot on the floor with no clue whatsoever is actually a false floor allowing access to a door under the stairs. There's a mirror in this room, and interacting with it makes some kind of crawling skeleton appear. It always mirrors your position, so you can control it. You need to make it step on the colored tiles in the correct order. We've seen these colors on the blocks in the toy world, and they always match up with the letters in the word crow, so make the creature step on the green tile, then the blue, red, and purple. See, this is a good puzzle, because it involves matching up the colors on the floor with the colors seen on the blocks in the toy level. The player can correlate two different objects that they see in different parts of the world. Furthermore, the creature actually growls whenever it steps on a colored tile, so that is feedback that you are maybe doing something right. Anyways, this process makes a ladder to the attic appear. You'll find a lot of pawns here, and two of them in particular are textured with the profile images of Adam Butcher and Ulrich Adderman. Maybe that's symbolic of something. They are carrying some kind of cartridge or gravestone from a mound of dirt and tossing it down to the floor below. That's definitely got to be symbolic, especially since this area also has a smashed up container of some kind. I wonder who broke out of there. Are you ready for the most insane cipher yet? One of the rooms has a container with a flashing sequence of images. Each of those images is making reference to one of the various random effects I've talked about, and remember, the computer keyboard can toggle them manually. It's now necessary to know which key triggers which event, and then match that letter with the image in the container, which requires lots and lots of trial and error to figure any of this out. The key image, for example, references how the key can change the key into a wind-up key. By this point, I guess it's not too unreasonable to figure this out, because in theory the player would have messed around with the keyboard a little bit by this point, but all I can think to myself is, Myst players never had to deal with this level of cryptic clues. No, not even the waffle iron puzzle from Riven was this bad, and I'm tired of pretending it was. Don't ask why it's called a waffle iron puzzle. That leaves only one more puzzle piece. This is actually not very obtuse at all, but it felt right to end on this one. All you gotta do is hold the start button when booting the game to access a file management window. Delete the only file that's there, then exit. Suddenly, we end up in a first-person perspective in a room with a bunch of weird textures. After cracking an obvious backrooms joke, we can find a passage hidden through optical illusion. I kinda like this area, actually. The illusions are very nice to work through. Eventually, you'll come across Thea's drawing, with her father edited out. You can also find another passage through a drawing to find more freaky crow images. More walking later, you can eventually hear the ringing phone and actually reach it this time. The game returns to the file manager, and you can see that a new file appeared, with the file name being the final puzzle piece. Thank goodness. That is all the pieces. Now let's put it all together, translated. Father, I was so angry. I could not reach you with the claws you gave me. Every year you drowned. We ran and ran, but could not escape that silent house. In the end, your little crows were only made as playthings to call you back once more. But now you have died twice, lost in the noise. So I build my own. I learn your language to warm the hell you built from the depths. Clearly this is Nils writing, and oh great, he's inherited his father's cryptic speech pattern. Either way, it looks like the game release and the plushies were a way to call Manfred out of hiding. Wait a minute, how is Manfred supposed to actually find out all of this cryptic crow crap? Alright, he just has to look it up on YouTube like I did. Okay, everything makes sense. To finish off this mess, you now need to type all the puzzle pieces on the keyboard in the computer room. Yes, all of it. In crow language. By jumping on the keys, if you mess up, there's no backspace. Luckily, Adam decided to be merciful. After completing the first 2 lines, the game will suddenly start accepting keyboard input from your device. So type all that in to see the actual ending, and don't worry, no event flags or anything like that will stop you. Once you enter it, you will first get a final crow language message that says, not forgiving, but willing to take one last leap. And then, 2 minutes of totally random, nonsensical images and weird music. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but we see 4 crows at the end whose colors match up with the gravestones found under the well, the ones belonging to Nils's new family. We didn't seriously go through all of that just to confirm Nils got laid, did we? Well, no. This ending was first discovered on April 28, 2024, just 2 days after the game released. 1 month later, on May 28, 2024, Ultra64 Forever uploaded one final video. It shows Manfred's crow in a forest, with Nils's crow approaching. They seem to be talking and walk away. Guess that confirms the two finally met and are going to try and reconcile their relationship, which is wholesome if nothing else, and much more of a conclusion than anything else we had so far. But what about all the other stuff? Like the Eternal Revival System, or the Catonic Circles, or how about Sir Cat, or the Pyramids and the Ankh? What happened to Adam? What about the dates on Manfred's grave? Was anything paranormal happening? Nothing. In all likelihood, Adam simply dropped these plot points if they were even there. But we have an ending now. A solid conclusion is better than none, and at the very least, the story still has the advantage of lacking any freaky ghosts or cliches with spirits trapped in game cartridges or what have you. So, that's the end of the story, and this video. Thank you for watching this video through to the end. Big shoutouts to the Catastrophe Crow Community Discord for discovering all this information and putting it all together in a document, and thank you Adam Butcher for creating one of the most memorable alternate reality games I've seen in recent memory. I may have been late in discovering it, and I may have gotten impatient, but I did truly enjoy the story, and this time I got to watch everything regarding the actual game unfold in real time. While I wasn't necessarily totally happy with the puzzle design, I also think it's totally fair if you thought my judgment was rather harsh. Clearly, this new game is for fans of the original story who are more in tune with the kind of thinking the puzzles require. I just prefer the puzzles from back then, and it feels as though there should have been more going on. The ending seems more vague and complicated than it actually probably is. At least it's a more solid conclusion. And if it paves the way for Valle Verde in the future, more power to it. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and I'll see you all next time, for whatever may happen next.